Abortion is one of the most divisive topics on earth. Lawmakers around the world have passed laws that either prohibit abortion completely or allow it only under certain conditions. In fact, the Center for Reproductive Rights say that 41% of the countries prohibit abortion completely or allow it for medical reasons. 23% of countries allow them on broader socioeconomic grounds, while 36% have very liberal abortion laws. Let's visit 3 countries in 3 continents. The US, which is a pretty liberal country, but where abortion rights are increasingly under threat. India, where it is possible to have a legal abortion, but the framework is pretty tight. And Kenya, where abortions are illegal unless a woman's life or health are in danger. And the most recent development gives rape victims a right to abortion. We want to hear from women in these 3 countries about how society and laws influence the way they deal with unwanted pregnancy. So let's start in the US, where there is a well-established constitutional right to abortion since 1973, when the Supreme Court decision Roe v. Wade decriminalized abortion nationwide. So women have a right to choose to have an abortion before what's known as viability. That is, the time a fetus could potentially survive outside the womb. Today, 1 in 4 women in the US will have had an abortion by the age of 45. One of these women is Sarah.
I was 17. I was a senior in high school. I had gotten several scholarships for college, and it was about halfway through my senior year when I found out I was pregnant. When I found out that I was pregnant, the guy I had been seeing broke up with me, told me, it wasn't his baby, and just very much avoidance of the issue.
Like many teenagers, Sarah did not feel ready for a baby, so she decided to have an abortion.
I'm not ashamed of what I did. I felt like it was the best decision I could have made at the time. And I know that there are other women who have had abortions who feel the same way. And it is one of the hardest decisions a woman has to make, especially where I live. The South is very much, it's almost like a theocracy in a way, because there really isn't a whole lot of the separation of church and state.
Her pregnancy was still in the first trimester, so it was legal for her in her home state of Alabama. But recently, Alabama virtually outlawed all abortions, even in cases of rape or incest. Other states have passed laws banning abortions from the moment a heartbeat is detected. That can be as early as after 6 weeks. These state laws are seen by many to be in conflict with the constitutional right to abortion. So the US Supreme Court may have the final word again.
My personal opinion is that unless it's viable outside of the womb, then it really is just kind of a collection of cells. And especially with 6 weeks, a lot of women do not know they're pregnant at 6 weeks. That's only 2 weeks late on your period. And it kind of seems like the men that are passing these bans just don't understand basic biology.
Men deciding about a woman's body. That's something we've heard from the women we've talked to. So let's go to India, where the abortion laws are stricter than in the US. Although abortions are legal in some cases, there are many exceptions. A doctor has to make the final decision. Such a provider-dependent policy may sometimes result in denial of abortion care to women in need. Also, although the law permits women to seek a legal termination of an unwanted pregnancy for a wide range of reasons, one clause allowing women to seek an abortion because of contraceptive failure applies only to married women.
A lot of these controls on women's bodies and women's sexuality emerge from a patriarchal system. So if you speak to someone who is like, say, the headman of the village or the male elders, they would probably say that it's absolutely unacceptable and such women should be punished, etc. But if you talk to the women themselves, the women understand that there are situations in which a pregnancy can occur which they don't want. So in general, I think the community of women understands that abortion is not something to be stigmatized, but it's the environment created in such a way that if you choose not to be a mother, you must be a bad woman or a bad wife or a bad person.
What makes the Indian case somewhat unique is the fact that the country has struggled with a high rate of female infanticide. That is where many newborn female children are killed right after birth. This centuries-old tradition is caused by poverty, illiteracy, child marriage, the dowry system, and the list goes on. Now, what does that have to do with abortion? The Population Research Institute in the US says between the year 2000 to 2014, over 12 million abortions in India were because of sex determination.
We know instances where women have given birth to a girl child who's not wanted by the family, and then those girl children are not immunized properly. Sometimes they are not fed and they die of malnutrition and other diseases before the age of 6. It's not just about giving birth to the girl child by stopping the abortions, it's by creating a society in which the girl child is valued as much as the boy child. That, I think, requires much deeper change in the system than we are investing in right now.
Now let's move on to Kenya, where abortion laws are even stricter than in India. Abortion is basically illegal in Kenya unless the woman's life is in danger or there is need for emergency treatment.
We live in what you call a Christian state, and it states that a child is a blessing, or our customary law states that having a child is you're fulfilling some sort of obligation in society when you have a child. So that is the current situation that we live in, especially in East Africa, whereby the governments are very reluctant, I should say, to allow a woman to be able to comfortably say that I do not want this pregnancy.
But there are international organizations in the country like Marie Stopes who provide counseling and medical help to women that wish to have an abortion. In November 2018, the authorities in Kenya banned Marie Stopes from offering any form of abortion services. The ban was lifted a month later. Marie Stopes was also the place where this woman went when she had an unwanted pregnancy.
When I turned 18, I got my ex-boyfriend and I, of course, we became sexually active, and that was when I first got pregnant. And I was scared out of my mind. I did not know what to do. I was living with relatives. So the first time I thought about it was then that I truly had to think about it. And so I'd already known about Marie Stopes, so I went to the nearest one where I used to live. And the doctor who was there, who was actually male, was very, very kind, very accommodating, very understanding, sat me down, calmed me down and told me, you know what, you need to know that you have agency over your body. You have a choice to make. Whether you choose to keep this pregnancy or terminate it, it is up to you because this is your body.
But restrictive laws do not stop women from having an abortion. Many girls and women do not know where they can go when they have an unwanted pregnancy, and this puts their lives in great danger.
Yeah, they use wires like hangers, metallic hangers, to try and pull out the fetus. They drink all sorts of concoctions, like herbal concoctions. We had stories of, in high school, girls drinking concentrated juice, thinking that this is going to terminate the pregnancy. They take pills, for example, pills that are meant to be used for deworming, pills that are meant to help like cure things like malaria or, chronic illnesses, and people end up taking pills, going to backward clinics and behind streets in town where you end up in the arms of quacks.
Nearly 500,000 illegal abortions take place each year in Kenya. And the 2014 Kenya Demographic Health Survey says unsafe abortions accounted for 35% of the maternal deaths in the country. So one could ask, what really are the political motives for tightening abortion laws? As we've learned, it will neither make the lives of women safer nor better. What are your thoughts? Comment below and let's keep the conversation flowing.